Coming up next on Tech News Today, Waymo is miles ahead of its competition when it comes to disengagement. That's a good thing. Also, the GoPro Karma is on sale again, and this time it won't fall on you. Facebook reports incredible earnings on the same day that it's paying big in the Oculus ZeniMax case, and a watch that hopes to take the awkward out of awkward conversations. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1696, recorded Wednesday, February 1st, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank to find out more.
And by Grasshopper. Stay connected and run your business from your mobile phone with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, visit trygrasshopper.com/twit.
Hello and welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we tell you everything you need to know about technology. Today, I'm Megan Maroney.
I'm Jason Howell. That's all I got.
We were having a Johnny Depp conversation right before the show started. I thought I was 12 when I was in love with Johnny Depp, as Kara, who was running our teleprompter, also thought she was 12 when she was in love with Johnny Depp. It turns out I was really 14.
Oh, okay.
Because, as Patrick pointed out in the chat room, it was 1987.
It all centered around 21 Jump Street, which, as a show, I remember it existing. I don't ever remember going, 21 Jump Street's on, I'm going to watch it.
Well, I was really into undercover high schoolers.
Oh, okay. It was a thing. It was an 80s thing.
But
or
now
early 90s thing. This 90s, 80s?
Late 87.
Yeah.
To 91. Okay, but now let's talk about technology. That's what I'm into now. According to a new disengagement report from Waymo, Google's self-driving car project, the cars are getting smarter. Disengagements describe the instances of human drivers having to take over for the driverless car. According to the report, since 2015, Waymo's rate of safety-related disengages has fallen from 0.8 per 1,000 miles to 0.2 per 1,000 miles in 2016. That's good. For the first time this year, California also required cruise automation, GM, BMW, Honda, and Ford to submit disengagement reports. So the cars are getting smarter. Tesla also. The cars are getting smarter. Tesla reported a 0.33 disengagement per autonomous mile, but most miles in a Tesla are not autonomous. They're driver assisted. So that's different. And Waymo's driven a lot more miles. BMW only had one disengagement, but they only drove less than 700 miles in autonomous mode.
Yeah, to talk about Tesla for a minute, Bloomberg had reported that they started full autonomous vehicle testing, if I read that correctly, in California at the end of 2016. They've had 550 driverless miles. Tesla reported 182 disengagements. That's about 1 per 3 miles. Compare that to what Waymo did. They logged 124 disengagements in 635,868 miles by comparison. So that's just kind of one example, one indication. Mind you, Tesla's kind of just getting into this aspect of it, but just one indication of how far ahead Google and Waymo has been in this whole self-driving pursuit.
So when you're talking about Tesla testing autonomous miles, that's not with people, not in their Teslas. That's
fully autonomous. From what I understand, the 550 driverless miles is fully autonomous without human control, right?
So is it, I guess I didn't read the piece. Is it with people who in their own Teslas?
No, Tesla actually testing their fleet themselves.
So
they started that in December.
Autopilot.
Yeah, sorry, I should have specified.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Had nothing to do with autopilot. Totally separate, because they're all heading down this road, so to speak, to race to get. Dang it! It keeps happening. I keep doing these puns.
Yeah.
To race to get the self-driving vehicles. prepped and ready and in place. But Waymo obviously very far ahead of the competition. 75% drop in failure rate, along with 50% increase in driven miles. So that just shows you how much more fine-tuned it's getting over time.
I have about 2 or 3 disengagements per mile of me driving.
Where you're like, oh, that's a nice sunset out there. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I've had those too. GoPro had a good thing going with its Karma drone. You remember that one? That is, of course, until the quadcopters started falling from the sky unexpectedly. That'll ruin anyone's day. After 3 months of a recall that began days after the Karma first went on sale last October, GoPro is now bringing them back to store shelves. GoPro says the latch design that holds the battery in place was at fault for all these drones falling out of the sky. They say they've solved the technical issue, but CEO Nick Woodman says we're a little bit embarrassed that it was something as basic as a battery retention issue, but says that this is just an example of how they're willing to do the work that's required for them to continue in the realm of drones, and you're going to see a lot more from GoPro in this market.
Yeah, I was at Target over the weekend, and I either saw a sign for the Karma drone or an actual Karma drone. I can't remember now, but when I saw the story, I was like, oh, I think I saw them already back in the stores. But that was a pretty big deal. I mean, these were not cheap drones. They were $1,000, a little cheaper if you didn't have the camera in them. And, the battery just was falling out. They're lucky nothing horrible happened.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, well, it sounds like the latch wasn't tight enough to keep the battery firmly in place for what it needed in order to meet the contacts and keep the plane powered. So it was just a matter of essentially it was a matter of the battery falling out, the drone losing power. And then you know what happens when drones lose power. This.
Yes.
Be careful. You don't want to be on the ground when this hits it.
Yeah, that was worth it. So, I'm not a drone expert, but it sounds like, DJI, they have the auto follow, they have the object avoidance, and the Karma doesn't. So I don't know, Brian, you're the drone aficionado in the group.
Yeah.
Do you want a Karma?
Not so much after seeing the DJI Mavic, which is like the smaller version that DJI came out with right around the same time the Karma first came out. And I got to play with one for a little bit, and I really liked it. So, I don't know. I'm still I'm torn because I do like most of the GoPro stuff, or I have a few of the cameras. But I think I'd probably go with the Mavic over the Karma and just wait until their next generation comes out, if they have one.
Right. I bet they get the battery issue right then.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hope so.
Yeah, let's hope. In celebration of the first day of Black History Month, Black employees at Twitter have launched Blackbirds. That's a bot that lets you learn about Black history and your community. Writing in TechCrunch, Megan Rose Dickey says you'll be able to interact with the bot through DM in short replies. I followed the Blackbirds today. I DM'd a bit with the bot, and as did you, it looks like, Brian. You got yourself some Black history there. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, they got a few different categories that you can kind of dive into. Black history, hashtag Black history for like some facts. There's for the cause, which are things like community events, involvement based events in your area. Self-care for ways to kind of help people put themselves first. And then for the culture, which is more about like moments, content from Black creators, voices, and also kind of like the primary theme of the project in general, all about, educating people and giving them a new interface with which to do this, because everybody's doing the bot thing. Kind of feels like Twitter's a little late to the bot thing, to be honest.
Well, I mean, no one's really done the bot thing very well, I think. And I think that it's nice because it sounds to me like Twitter's finally listening to all the people saying you're not serving your community, the people that use your product. And because many of the people that work at Twitter, especially, in the higher levels, are white or Asian. And so this is nice. And there's a real focus on Black Americans, past and present, who are making a difference. They've also made sure that if you tweet something racist at it, or write something racist at it, first of all, it's not public, which is good.
Right, it's all DM.
It's just you too, so it's not like letting someone just use Twitter to just turn the bot racist. And if you do
it's
say
no
something, Is no tag. Yeah, this. It will not see that as a valid response. If
Yeah,
you try to say something racist.
it seemed pretty limited as far as like, I mean, it actually, from what I could tell, it wasn't really free form at all. It was really just those 4 hashtags, and that's about it. So maybe they open that up and allow you to kind of play around with it a little bit more and ask like continued, like I was trying to ask it continued questions based on the things that it was showing me, like, well, what about this or whatever? And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Choose one of those things. So maybe they could build that out a little bit more, but I think it's a great tool. It's a great way to educate. I love it. Snapchat is reportedly expanding on its world lenses, not word lenses, filters that overlay animations and objects on top of objects that are captured with the rear-facing camera of the phone. The company is testing an advanced feature that would be capable of identifying elements in the background and then allow for deeper interactivity of those objects with real-world objects. So virtual objects kind of interacting with real-world objects as you're looking through the screen. So like just coming up with an example, like you look up, you see a blimp or something flying through the sky, and it actually weaves in and out of the studio lights that we have up here, that sort of thing. Having it be aware of those objects and be able to kind of navigate around them and interact with them in some way sounds kind of cool.
So it's just for fun. It's not for some sort of use. I mean, just
well,
like,
yeah.
Just I'm not raining on the parade of Snapchat filters because I'm a huge fan, as you know. But I just didn't know if they were trying to do something more with augmented reality, or maybe
like we're getting the same stuff that Magic Leap is doing. Like that's kind of part of what I thought. Is well, okay, so this sounds like a mobile version of the promotional videos that we've seen from Magic Leap that still really doesn't exist on a public sense yet. But
or the other things that people always say they're going to use augmented reality for decorating your room. You can see what the couch looks like. That's
I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's just filters in the way that they've been offering them. Another option, another cool way to keep people opening and using Snapchat to capture certain things. It could be good for brand messaging. Kind of like embedding brands into objects in the room, let's say, and that's good because some of the other filters where it's like modifying your face. I mean, unless they're putting something over the top of it, which I know some of them do as like a branding opportunity, there's really not a whole lot you can do with the face that for branding for advertisers.
Well,
so
turn it into a taco. That was the piece de resistance.
That was good.
Snapchat filter.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, that's limited to the taco.
Right. Yes.
Let's say.
Yeah. So, augmented reality advertising. That is next. We need it right now.
Yeah.
A report in the Wall Street Journal claims Facebook is headed to your television. Sources familiar with the matter say Facebook is developing an app for Apple TV to continue its push into the video-first world. More video, of course, means more video ads, and ads, as we know, are what Facebook is for. It's not for cute dog pictures, no matter how much I want Facebook to be about cute dog pictures. By the way, tag me in your dog pictures if we're Facebook friends, because I need to see more dog pictures. The same sources tell the Wall Street Journal that Facebook is looking to license longer original TV quality programming. So longer meaning about 10-minute programming. So who knows what this is going to be. You're not going to be seeing your Facebook feed on your TV, probably.
Oh, but that sounds like so enjoyable and awesome to be able to see my never-ending news stream on my TV. I mean, this kind of reminds me of what Twitter was doing also, right? Like they have an app that you can use on your TV, but it's not necessarily designed to be an app for you to navigate your feed necessarily. It's more about kind of taking the video content that Twitter is doing, putting that up on the screen, having a tiny bit of interactivity. This kind of reminds me of that, and it makes a whole lot of sense. Facebook wants ads on everywhere. I think it's really good for being a vector for ad impressions because obviously, Facebook's working on mid-roll ads is one thing that we've been hearing. They're doing a lot of stuff around kind of video and ads in other ways, so you could totally see how that could apply to something like this. But also as kind of another metric for increasing the amount of time that users spend with Facebook, because that's a really valuable metric for selling ads, is knowing that your users use Facebook or whatever service X amount of time. You give it another screen and it has passive content like TV content, long form. That's just another screen that once did not have any Facebook on it, and now people are spending 10, 20, 30 additional minutes on it watching stuff, and that's good for their ad sales.
Yeah. Facebook didn't comment on this. This is just really a rumor at this point, but.
Right.
After the break, Kurt Wagner from Recode is here to talk even more about Facebook. We'll learn about Facebook's earnings and a little bit about the conversation Recode had with COO Sheryl Sandberg. But first, let's take a minute to thank Epson, the sponsor of this episode. Epson's revolutionary cartridge-free EcoTank line of printers for home and office introduce a new age in printing. The EcoTank ET4550 wireless all-in-one printer doesn't use ink cartridges. Instead, it features an amazing, innovative, refillable ink tank, which earned it the title of CES 2016 Innovation Awards honoree. So you don't have to get frustrated anymore when you run out of ink. It will include up to 2 years of ink, and that is equal to 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages. That is a lot of printing. You can save up to 80% on ink with low-cost replacement bottles, and it's powered by Precision Core printing technology. It has auto two-sided printing and a 30-page auto document feeder. Easy wireless printing from tablets and straight from your smartphone. All EcoTank printers deliver an unbeatable combination of convenience and value. With Epson's EcoTank line of printers, you'll have the freedom to print without running out of ink. The Epson EcoTank system was named the 2016 Small Biz Windows Printer of the Year. Visit epson.com/ecotank today to transform the way your home, office, or work group prints. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the Epson EcoTank printers. That's spelled epson.com/ecotank. And we thank Epson for their support.
So we've got a small fortune of Facebook news today, and joining us to help pillage that news is Kurt Wagner from Recode. How's it going, Kurt?
Hey, guys. I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. I know you're super busy today. You've been writing like a maniac. So let's talk about a few things that you've been writing about. First up, Facebook reported its earnings today, and it appears by all accounts that Facebook continues to kill it. How much, in fact, is Facebook killing it right now, Kurt?
Yeah, it's good news for Facebook investors. There was some concern because the last 2 quarters they've said, hey, we're running out of places to put ads and news feed, and therefore, expect growth to slow in 2017. So technically, this is the very end of 2016. So, maybe preemptive concern. But at the same time, I think that they projected 46% revenue growth. I think Facebook was at 51. So, continues to outperform what analysts are expecting, and they're at I believe it's 1.86 billion users. So if they continue on their current growth, they should be to 2 billion users by the end of this year, which is pretty insane. So I think people are overall pretty happy with what they saw from Facebook today.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember when 1 billion was a big number.
Yeah,
those days. That was so long ago. Now, speaking of so long ago, back in 2012, Mark Zuckerberg had announced, and I remember this vividly, it was kind of the turning point for Facebook. They said, we're going to be focusing on mobile going forward. We think mobile's really important. Now, here we are almost 5 years later, and what was the number? It was mobile now makes up 84% of their ad revenue. So, I mean, by all accounts, that was a very smart move for Facebook. Is that why Facebook is still relevant here, some 13 years since it was founded?
Yeah, that was an incredibly smart move. And it sounds so obvious now to think about, well, of course, Facebook is going to be on our mobile devices. But at the time, you think about 2011, 2012, it wasn't as obvious back then. And for him to really shift the whole company and say, hey, we're gonna tackle mobile, and we're gonna make sure that Facebook is the best service on mobile. It was pretty thoughtful of him at the time, and it's certainly benefiting. I mean, when you look at where advertising dollars are going, they pretty much go to 2 players. They go to Facebook and they go to Google, and Facebook has such a mobile presence between Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp and Messenger that it seems inevitable that that's only going to continue to grow. 84%. There's not much more for it to increase, but I would imagine at this time next year we'll be at 90% or we'll be at 95. And so I think mobile is what makes them so sticky, because they're in all of our pockets all the time. And had they been even a year or 2 behind that, who knows what would have happened with other services.
Yeah.
And what about that idea that Facebook might be running out of places to put ads? Do you give that any credence?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I think that when you look at an advertising based business, there's a couple ways to keep growth steady, right? I mean, you're either going to add more users or you're going to add more ads. And up until now, Facebook's really been able to do both. And clearly, they're still growing. So it seems like the user thing, at least for the time being, seems to be consistent. But if you can't add more ads, then you just inevitably reach this plateau where it's like, okay, well, we can't grow at the same rate that we used to. So I think it's a valid concern. I think what we saw from them, and actually one of the things I wrote about this morning was all of the tests that they're doing around other types of ad formats. So they're experimenting with ads in Messenger. They have a new type of ad in Instagram stories. They're talking about doing these mid-roll video ads, which they've never offered before. So clearly they have a number of other, places to put ads. But I think when you say, hey, we are running out of we are running out of space in newsfeed, which has always been the core moneymaker for them. When we're running out of space there, I do think there's some concern. I don't think it's the kind of thing where like all of a sudden Facebook's going to turn around and deliver a crummy quarter. But I think people just need to have realistic expectations that when the numbers get this big, there's only so much higher you can go, right? Like you can't grow at 50% quarter after quarter for 10 years. That's just not realistic. So I think we're finally getting to that point where Facebook's going to have to start I guess getting creative around how they grow their revenue, whereas they haven't had to be as creative before.
I think they're really missing out on a lot of opportunities. They could put ads inside the photos. Like if there's a billboard in your photo, they could put their own ad. They could maybe like put it on the sides of baby pictures or dog,
Sure.
like on the back of your dog pictures. They're not.
Is that what you want? Are you asking for to make ads on your photos?
No, I mean, I think they should just put them on the back of our eyelids and be done with it.
They should just hire employees to walk around the streets holding giant signs. That's their new ad.
With big thumbs next to them.
Exactly.
Now, I think one of Facebook's strengths and kind of how this is developed with Instagram is a prime example. Its strength is the ability to kind of acquire strong properties, and more importantly than just acquiring those properties, but keep them growing at a good tick. You wrote that Instagram is now at 500 monthly active users, which makes me wonder if
600 actually.
Oh, is it 600?
600 monthly, 400 daily, which is crazy.
Which is a million, not.
Sorry, I had to jump in. You're off by only 100 million.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I missed the really important part there. So should Snapchat be worried? I mean, obviously Snapchat, we keep hearing there's an expected IPO announcement, but Instagram is doing insane. And much of that is because Instagram has emulated a lot of the things that have been successful for Snapchat.
Yeah.
And this is kind of an example of that. What do you think?
I'm starting to think so. Yeah, I'm still not quite a believer that Instagram is necessarily stealing users away from Snapchat. I just think that people who love Snapchat continue to use it. I think what we're seeing, though, is Instagram kind of putting a ceiling on Snapchat's growth. And I talked about this before, this idea that, if you're over, 25 years old, and you probably have Instagram if you live in the US or in Europe. And so maybe you've thought, do I really need Snapchat? And if Instagram wasn't copying all the features, maybe you'd get to a point where you'd say, yeah, I kind of do need Snapchat. Everyone's using it and they offer something unique. But if Instagram is simply offering all the same things, you're already on Instagram. I think what they're going to eventually run into, this is a hunch, is they're going to run into trouble getting people who are over 30 because all those people have all the features in Instagram, which they already use, and they're not going to see a need for a secondary app. So I don't necessarily think it's the kind of thing where Snapchat's sitting there watching their user base shrivel, but I do think it's the kind of thing where their long-term growth could be impacted if people don't see a valid reason to have both apps. And I think what we've seen from Twitter is that when you don't grow, that can be a real concern. People really freak out about that. And so that would be my one concern for Snapchat here.
We're still kind of, it seems like the rumors, the rumblings have been around a Snapchat IPO potentially announcing by the end of this week. Is that still kind of a thought that that's going to happen?
Oh yeah, we are prepared for that. So it's now Wednesday, so gives us 2 days, either tomorrow or Friday, where we might see the S1 document publicly for the first time. They filed it privately, so they've been working on it for months. It's not like something that no one has seen, but those of us on the outside have not. And so this will kind of be our first glimpse into their business, which is a big deal. the company's valued. They're hoping to be valued around $25 billion. And we've never technically seen revenues or user growth. Like, we know what they've said out loud, which hasn't been much, but it'll be kind of fun to go through that document for the first time and just see all of the stuff that, they haven't been able to share before.
Yeah, cool. Right around the corner. All right. So finally, in other bit of Facebook news here, Facebook has been in court fighting a lawsuit on behalf of Oculus, of course, its VR company, who was charged with stealing technology from a gaming company called ZeniMax before Oculus was acquired by Facebook. And now we have the jury. How did Facebook fare in the verdict with this announcement?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Facebook will tell you it could have been worse, right? I believe the maximum amount that ZeniMax was asking for in damages was $6 billion. Facebook is going to have to pay $500 million. It is a lot of money for sure. It is not going to break the bank for Facebook, obviously, but I think more than anything, it's just kind of a reality check around kind of how Oculus got started. And again, Facebook will say, well, hey, we didn't actually get in trouble for intellectual property theft. It was more of like we hired people who broke a non-disclosure agreement. I'm quite frankly not entirely sure then what the difference between breaking an NDA and stealing intellectual property is. They sound relatively similar to me, but either way, I guess could have been worse for Facebook, but $500 million, that's not the outcome I'm sure that the company wanted. They said that they are going to appeal or look into appealing this decision. And so I guess that case will continue on. But yeah, I mean, it definitely caught some headlines. And if you'll remember, Facebook just hired someone to run all of their, new VR, like a new CEO. So, yep. There's a lot happening at Oculus right now, and it's clearly a business they believe at for the future. But at the same time, it hasn't been a super smooth road to date for them.
Yeah, it seems to some degree that $500 million is kind of a speed bump on the way to doing what Facebook considers to be the next major computing platform. It's kind of like, this is the price of doing business. At the same time, they really rushed through the vetting process when they decided they wanted to acquire Oculus, and this is probably the result of that rush.
Sure.
From their
I think they said it done in a weekend or 3 days or something. So, I mean, having acquired a company myself, I imagine that's pretty fast. So, who knows what would have turned up had they taken 2 weeks? Maybe not this, but maybe this. So there you go.
So I know that you talked to Sheryl Sandberg about the ruling, and also you guys at Recode talked to her just about what's been going on. You quoted her as saying just what's been going on politically. She said, "I have to be optimistic. Hope is the fuel for social change. When we don't have hope, we give up on ourselves," which I think was very kind of you to give that full quote, because what I saw on the news and on Twitter was just that it's basically critical of Sandberg, saying like, she says, well, I have hope in Trump, which people were seeing as negative. Now, what do you think about Facebook and their the stands they've been taking or not taking as far as politics goes?
I mean, they haven't really said much that others haven't said. I think most of the tech industry has found these immigration policies as like a really easy lightning rod for their feelings towards Donald Trump and his kind of entire campaign. I thought that she was firmer. Actually, she did a post yesterday on Facebook where I thought she was even firmer. Mark Zuckerberg hasn't really said much of anything of significance. Of course, time he says anything, we all write it up because it's Mark Zuckerberg. But in terms of really taking a stand, I think Sheryl's been a little bit more forceful. But that being said, people expect a lot from both of them, and especially her because of her role, in writing Lean In and really being like a champion for women in the workplace and female empowerment and all of these different issues that she has been a leader and a very visible and vocal leader for. And then she kind of went silent for a little bit during this Women's March, and found out today that she was like, oh, I had another obligation, a personal obligation. I don't think anyone is going to certainly not going to ruin her reputation that she wasn't there. But at the same time, I think that is a prime example of a place where people expected to hear from her and then they didn't. So, I think that they probably have more room to be even louder and if they care to be. I don't think that they necessarily are eager to do that, given the fact that a lot of Facebook users are probably Trump supporters, right? And ultimately they're running a business, and so we'll see how this continues to move forward. But I know that in Silicon Valley, Cheryl is such a leader, especially among women in tech, and so people were eager to hear what she had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I felt a little frustrated that everyone was sort of jumping on the bandwagon to get angry at her for not being there. She's in a tough spot. And, what about all the other tech leaders that weren't there? Why were they just picking on her? And I get it, because she wrote Lean In, because she has been such, a proponent for women's rights. But, maybe she just said, maybe it's someone else's job to do it for now. And you point out that she's putting her money where her mouth is. Absolutely. She sold $100 million in Facebook stock last November to help fund women's empowerment groups. So maybe it's easier for her to donate in that way rather than be speaking out all the time or going on a march.
Well, and at the risk of, super cliche, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And here is Cheryl, who is arguably the leader for all of this stuff. So she's just held at a higher standard than she probably deserves to be honest, given her track record. And yeah, you point out it's not as if she's just doing lip service here. I mean, she's putting some serious money behind issues that she cares about. She will continue, I am sure, to do this moving forward. I think that people were fired up in the moment. They were looking for her to be there, and she wasn't. It was kind of a weird thing. I don't think it's going to tarnish her legacy by any stretch. But I think it's good that people kind of remember that, okay, maybe she missed one event, but here are all of the things that she is doing. I think overall she probably has done significantly more good than anything else, and I'm sure that she'll continue to be a champion for all those same causes moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Kurt Wagner with Recode. Really appreciate you taking your time out of the evening to talk with us about a few of these stories. Thank you.
Absolutely. Right on, guys. I'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
All right, we'll be following your work. Recode.net to follow all of his work. Thank you.
Yes.
We had some feedback from many of you. Pierre Dupree Washington was among all of you that wrote us about our story yesterday on augmented eternity, or feeding a neural network our personal information so an AI can live on after we die. He says, your story on the chatbot ghost is the exact plot to one of the creepiest Black Mirror episodes. Listening to your guest gave me the chills. I want to have nothing to do with this disturbing tech. True. The episode is called Be Right Back. Thank you to Tiffany. She also wrote in about that and recommended that we watch it. I haven't yet. Our guest did mention that in her story, so I got to put it in my Netflix queue.
Kind of afraid to watch that one, to be honest. I don't know if I want to see about the future. Up next, your wearable. This is talk about the future. Your wearable could someday help detect socially awkward situations for you. But first, let's take a minute to thank Grasshopper. They're the sponsor of this episode. Grasshopper is a virtual phone system that's designed for entrepreneurs. Grasshopper works just like a traditional phone system, but requires no hardware purchase. You already have it. You can install their iOS or their Android app, and then callers can reach you wherever you happen to be on your mobile phone that you already have. Grasshopper allows you to keep your existing number so you can maintain your brand. And when you make a call, your client is going to see your Grasshopper caller ID instead of your personal phone number, even though you're calling from your own phone. So you can kind of do double duty on your phone. Simply select a toll-free or local number, record a custom greeting, add multiple extensions for your business. Toll-free numbers, of course, are awesome for marketing. They make your business sound more professional. So you can set up department and employee extensions with custom call forwarding. So you can make any phone your office phone with that custom call forwarding. You can get voicemails emailed to you as audio attachments. You can also send and receive SMS text messages from your business number. So join the over 250,000 Grasshopper customers today. Plans start at just $12 per month. You have a full 30-day money-back guarantee to try it out for yourself. Turn your smartphone into a business line with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, just go to trygrasshopper.com/twit. That's trygrasshopper.com/twit. And we thank Grasshopper for their support of Tech News Today. TNT's fan of the day is none other than our own Burke McQuinn, who sent us this picture saying he's, quote, taking a break from the horrible, horrible weather on Isla Mujeres. I think I said that right. Did I?
I think you did.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Good enough for me.
I think I'm glad we chose to show a picture of Burke's toes because everyone had been looking for that
There you go.
and wondering.
Yep. He's flexing. He's really stressed out right now. That's why he's flexing those
Yeah.
toes. We also know that Burke covers his camera too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's got a little star on
Yep.
the little webcam.
So
And
you-
if Burke does it, well, then we all should really do it.
Exactly.
I hate anyone that's enjoying paradise like that at this very moment because I don't know about you, I really need a tropical vacation like way bad. I've needed it for years. And second, flattered that even though Burke is there in paradise, he still chooses to watch the show that he sometimes runs teleprompter and helps out in the studio for. So Burke, thank you. But seriously, go swimming. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we will find it.
MIT has an idea for a wearable that will help you understand social cues, measuring movement, heart rate, blood pressure, blood flow, skin temperature, word choice, pitch, energy, and tone. An AI can tell you if a story that's being told to you is positive, negative, or neutral. Put that AI on your wrist, and suddenly you're a star at the cocktail party without all that booze that you thought you needed. It's also great for people with social anxiety or on the autism spectrum. It's not available yet, but the idea is that it will be incorporated into maybe an Apple Watch. And I just really like this story because I think technology is, I know that social anxiety is a real thing that existed long
for
before
sure.
we all had our phones and our wearables. But I do think that technology is helping us get really bad at interacting with each other. And so now it's going to help us go the other direction.
But I no doubt there are situations where something like this could be very beneficial. Autism spectrum is a great example. Social anxiety, like being anxious in a social situation, I could see it being a tool. At the same time, wouldn't it be kind of distracting in and of itself? Like kind of like relying on technology to make a situation more comfortable or help you to understand the situation. Like if it's on your watch, you still need to like refer to your watch.
Well, no, maybe it gives haptic
that's
feedback.
weird.
Maybe
like
it's
we're talking
haptic
and I'm
feedback,
like,
and it's
this is
telling
going
you
well.
that that you're telling me a positive story and not a negative story, and I'm getting haptic feedback. Yeah,
oh, but
Yeah.
that's distracting too. But what I wonder is if you get used to this, do you then contribute to conversations purely to get positive or negative feedback from the watch? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I mean, maybe this is a horrible example, horrible comparison, but like I can ask you a question and it would feel normal, but the second I like go to ask a computer a question, the process is different. Like, you know, it's like mentally I approach that differently, and it can be kind of awkward. Like asking even a simple question of a computer, thinking of it on the fly can be kind of awkward and weird if you're not used to it. You know, I just don't know if it like paints your conversation because what you're looking for is that positive or negative reinforcement from the watch.
yeah. I mean, it. I think it has a long way to go. It's a very
for sure.
nascent technology, and the idea that it gets it wrong a lot too. I mean, and one way, you know, if you're telling me a sad story and I start laughing, that is. You know, I mean, that happens in situations. Well, for me, yeah, I always laugh at everything. So I need this. I would like this.
Yeah, they say it's 83% accurate at this point, which 83%, I mean, that's a B if you're grading, you know, like in grade school or whatever. But still, that's a lot of percents that it misses, and that can make an even more awkward conversation.
True.
You get it wrong. We've all been there. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. Leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW, and find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
And it's time for our yearly Twit survey, and we want to hear from you so we can serve you better. Head over to twit.tv/survey and be heard. And you can subscribe to the show. Go to twit.tv/TNT to find all the ways to subscribe. And if you know someone who might like our show, subscribe for them, whether they like it or not. And if you want to tweet at me, I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Brian. Thanks to Kara for helping out in the studio. Thanks to Kevin for editing the show. Thanks to you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you right now. for Talking Tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.